around beach access. I had to do it because the policy falls under the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. And we have spent a lot of time going through the policy because the issues are fundamental. We are dealing with the rights of the people. We are dealing with people's prescriptive rights. We are dealing with property rights. We're dealing with people's right to enjoy their environment. And we have to go through all of them carefully. But one thing must be sure, we must be certain, and we must be unequivocal. Jamaicans are entitled to access their beaches.
Absolutely.
But one thing we know, Madam Speaker, there is one thing to speak about access.
We've never sold a beach.
There is another thing, Madam Speaker, to actually
Do it.
enable access. So we believe everybody must have access, but we go a step further. Madam Speaker, I am happy to announce that the government will be upgrading a number of beaches across the island for public access.
And perhaps the problematic part of the Prime Minister's statement was that last bit where he said upgrading public access, not increasing access. So we're going to come to that. Now, Jamaica is approximately 494 miles long, 30% of the coastline, of course, sandy. Then, the Beach Control Act, Jamaicans have no inherent rights to the beach. Jamaicans have no inherent rights to the beach and access to the beach under the Beach Control Act. No person shall be deemed to have any rights in or over the foreshore of the island or the floor of the sea, save such as are derived from or acquired or preserved under or by virtue of this act, meaning the Beach Control Act of 1956. Well, to discuss this issue this evening, I've asked two gentlemen who sit at different ends of the spectrum. Devon Taylor, Dr. Devon Taylor is the president of the Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement, JABEM. He's on Zoom, and in studio with me I have the gentleman, Dr. Kerry Wallace. He's the executive director of the Tourism Enhancement Fund. We were set to be joined by Jamal Banton. Yes, he's on. Jamal is on. He's a coastal engineer, and he's with he leads the respected coastal engineering firm, Smith Warner International. Gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to Lead Story.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good.
Yeah, good to
And that's
hear.
also just to test the audio. Let me start with Dr. Wallace in studio. Dr. Wallace, this issue continues to rankle with Jamaicans. Professor Carolyn Cooper has several columns writing about beach access. Dr. Taylor has been very strident in the year that JABEM has been formed, and there has also been some informed perspective on the issue advanced by Jamal Banton and his team. When can Jamaicans expect more access to better quality beaches in the country?
Right. So the good news is that we at the TEF, we have embarked on beach development, public beach development, recognizing that there may be displacement happening in our tourism sector, and certainly in the past we've had that. But what we're doing now is that we're making sure that we develop enough public access beaches and developing them at the standards and levels where every Jamaican will be proud of them and proud to partake in the amenities of those beaches. And we have 13 beaches on our cards now.
30 or 13?
13 beaches are dotted across Jamaica. I mean, these are development programs that are huge budgets and so on, so it takes a while for us to get there. But just because we're doing 13 doesn't mean it's only 13 that we'll end up doing. In fact, there are 66 beaches that NEPA has presented to us that are available. We took the first 13 in terms of our capacity to develop. So we are at advanced stages of designs in all those. In fact, 4 are at the stage where we can begin works in this financial year. And so our idea is that we're blessed as a country with a lot of beaches, and if we
That's why the public vex, because we're blessed with beaches and we can access the good ones.
And the whole idea is that if we can develop, you know, there are varying stages. There are long beaches that have access to everyone. I mean, Negril Beach, for instance, is 7 miles, and everybody has access to Negril Beach, can walk up and down without uninhibited. There are some that are in a cove that the property may have only access to. But what we're trying to do is make sure Jamaicans are not short of beaches, not short of the beach experience, not short of being shown respect, to have boardwalks, to have restrooms, to have Wi-Fi, to have security, to have lifeguards, to have parking, and have the standards where they and their families can enjoy the amenities that we're blessed with.
And that's the point, because people go to the few public beaches that are of good standard and say it's like a caveman experience. Jamal Banton, I'm in Barbados, and I can walk onto the best beach in Barbados, even if that beach is aligned with one of the big hotels there. And I'm saying to myself, so why can't I do that in Jamaica? Is it that Jamaica is short of access points or just short of beaches overall? What's the perspective from Smith Warner?
Absolutely. So we've been fortunate enough to be working all throughout the Caribbean, and Barbados is one of those places. And wherever you go in Barbados, you're never more than 5 minutes away from a beach. And along the coastline of Barbados, there are specific windows that allow access to the public to the beach. So those are stipulated by government, and those easements have to be maintained. So if you're doing a new development in Barbados and you have a stretch of the shoreline, you do have to leave an access point for people to go to the beach. And ever since the 80s and 70s, Barbados have been very serious about beach access. And it would be criminal for anyone to come and say, I'm putting a development here and there's no beach access. So they've been very serious about it. Jamaicans, on the other hand, and us Jamaicans have not been that serious about it. We've allowed, in some cases, resorts to build groins or stone structures along beaches, and which have denied Jamaicans access to the beach. So we just haven't been as serious about it.
Dr. Taylor, you've in the past been very, very critical of the government's approach to improved and greater beach access for Jamaicans. You've said about the Prime Minister's beach access management policy, quote, he wants to, he's mixing up general rights and qualified rights, and what he's doing is deceptive and contradictory. Why such strong language?
Because the Jamaican government is complicit in the exclusion of Jamaicans from our beaches. Straight up. Listen, among the 13 independent Caribbean islands, Jamaica is the only island that have this policy in place. And the foundation of this policy stretched from a colonial era law, the Beach Control Act of 1956. You quoted a subsection of it earlier. That law does not give us no rights. When you look at all the policies across the Caribbean, all the beaches in the Caribbean are public except the Jamaica, right? And because our laws that are on our books, okay, which is colonial in its origin, all right, the entire Caribbean shares a plantation, coming from plantation, coming from slavery, right, into independence. We have kept that law on our books. That law have ingrained itself now in economic policy of our tourism industry. And like, in slavery, there's 1% that controls the tourism economy, is holding the government hostage. Government is playing along. The government is supporting these laws and excluding the Jamaican people.
So Dr. Taylor, hold on, Dr. Taylor.
1%?
What do I get to? Let me see if I understand you. Are you saying then that because of the antediluvian nature of the legislation, it's out of keeping with the modern realities? You're saying it's old, not fit for purpose anymore, antediluvian, that's what it means. You're saying that because this law is like that, the hotel developers have exploited this old, weak, unfit for purpose law, and the government has been going along not even realizing that they're being exploited. Is that what you're saying?
They realize that is the unjust thing. They do realize it. It is a conscious act. It's not something that is unconscious. Listen, people across this country every day suffer from exclusion. Our government know it. It's not a maybe, it's not a if.
Yes.
It is the reality on the ground.
Yes.
This is our organization of 3 government entities as defendant in the courts when we are defending the rights of the Jamaican people to access their beaches. It is not coincidental, you know. This is a purposeful mission.
Yes. Hear you on that. Dr. Wallace, you've heard.
Right. So
yes.
The first thing is, you know, I hear the comparison with other destinations, and most of them are much smaller than Jamaica. They don't have the abundance of beaches that we have. And he mentioned 1% of the beach ownership for tourism. Come on, tourism is Jamaica's #1 industry. Jamaica tourism provides the largest employment in the country. I mean, we have to consider development of the people. That same plantation, slavery thing, the best thing we can do for our people is give them a good quality of life. It may build out industries so that they can have employment, they can have entrepreneurship opportunities, they can live a great quality of life. And that's what we're doing. And we're building out 13 free public access beaches to lift the standards. I don't want my people to go to no beach where they have no bathrooms, go to any beach where they don't have any parking, no lifeguards, and no Wi-Fi. We're developing all of that for our people. So as far as I'm concerned, we are doing more for the liberation of our people than fighting this fight to now inhibit tourism.
You know, I don't know if you gentlemen are music men, but as you said 13, in my mind was the Outcast song which says, when 16 is not enough. Is 13 enough? Is the point I hear the stakeholders are making.
Right.
Is 13 enough?
So what I'm saying here is that it's not like they'll be excluded from every other beach. Only 13 enough. I'm just saying we're upgrading 13 to the highest standards.
To be completed by when? This process of
So we have 4 that the works will begin in this financial year, but the 13 will be phased in subsequent financial years until we get those on. In the meantime, we'll be adding more into the pipeline. So it will be a continuous
And you're saying that the baseline that those beaches should have, each beach should have good bathrooms, Wi-Fi, secure parking,
security, lifeguards, shops, restaurants, kiosks. Will it be an experience?
Amenities are plenty.
Precisely.
Right. Let me go to Jamel Banton. Jamel, the Barbados, and Dr. Wallace has a point. It's different to Jamaica. And I know that in the past you've written about the fact that Negril's 7-mile-long beach has many access points. So the complaint from people down that side is not as much as people who are on another part of the island. So the question then emerges.
Yes.
Is there enough of this kind of area developed by the government so that people can have the access points that our friends and compatriots in Negril enjoy?
So I would say I appreciate what the TF is about to do or has been doing with the few or 13 beaches, but I think there needs to be a lot more. Yes, Jamaica is very different geographically. So whereas you have long stretches of beaches in Barbados, along the entire shoreline in Antigua, in say Cayman, and in the Negril, you do have access points. Jamaica's geography doesn't allow for that because we have small coves and bays. So there's not this long stretch of beach where people could have access to. So in many cases, people can't go to the shoreline because the rocky shoreline or the beach is just in a cove and the owner has fenced off their property. So it is very different. So the government has to be deliberate about creating these beaches, new beaches, or enhancing some beach coves so that people can have access to them.
Yeah, Dr. Wallace, just before we go to the break. Just before we go to the break, Dr. Taylor made the point, you know, he said that what exacerbates the problem is the fact that the government allows these hoteliers to build structures to block a space that would have been a natural access point to the beach. And that's why he said the government has been complicit in locking out Jamaicans.
Well, I'm aware that MEGJEC is looking at that amongst other archaic laws on our books and so on. What we're doing at TEF in the interim is ensuring that because what we believe is that if all our people have access to a beach close to them and it's very well appointed and they're loving it, in fact, we hope that these beaches will also spawn tourism entrepreneurship, Airbnbs in a cluster around that beach and so on, and get more and more Jamaicans to get a piece of the tourism pie.
Dr. Taylor, a lot of people support your group and the fact that you have dragged these 3 government agencies before the court, defending the rights of the people to access and enjoyment to the best beaches. You've won a lot of supporters for that. But I hear some people saying, does Dr.